Hi, I'm Rocket Ronnie, and I am a pack rat. There, I've said it. It's out in the open. Everyone knows now. But who am I fooling anyhow? I mean, really, it was self-evident, right? How can you hide being a pack rat? You got too much junk. Is there any hope? Minimalism. Now, don't get me wrong. I said I was a pack rat, not a hoarder. Now, a hoarder is different than a pack rat, at least in my terms. A hoarder just gathers up all kinds of stuff. It can be bottle caps, it can be stamps that are useless, all kinds of stuff, just for the sake of having it. Now, a pack rat is more methodical. Pack rat decides, well, hey, I need this because I'm going to have more capability, more reach in my life. And that's what I am as a pack rat. So what are the pros and cons of being a pack rat versus being a minimalist? Minimalism is really just reducing everything down to the bare essentials to accomplish your goals in life, right? And I have a different definition here. There's absolute minimalism, which means reducing it right down to the very absolute bare bones to be able to do the things you want to do. So that whole identification of minimalism is quite an expansive thing of what's minimalism, you know, for a family of 8 kids, right? Versus one person. There's a big difference there. So the pros with minimalism is it costs a lot less money to live that way, allows you to have a lot more freedom and spontaneity. You know, you're trading your time for possessions, right? So that's a fantastic thing with minimalism. The cons are that you can't really do as many things as if you had all the stuff, right? I mean, you need a boat to go boating, or you need a car to go driving, and you need tools to build stuff. So, I mean, you have less capability as a minimalist. But then again, if you have minimalistic expectations of what you want to do, well, then that fits right into the minimalism theme, right? Now, you go ahead and be a pack rat or someone who starts to collect things. Well, what are the pros? The pros are that you have more capability. You know, I'm a carpenter by trade, and I go ahead and I have my tools. I can go ahead and build houses, right? Minimalists can't really do that unless they use someone else's tools. So the big cons, though, is that as you acquire all these possessions, then you got to house it someplace. And so now you're anchoring yourself down into a locale, which is okay. I mean, not everyone has to travel. I'm not a real travel bug per se, but I don't mind being in one place. That's fine. But then again, you know, the more stuff you end up having, you got to go ahead and have a bigger place to live, which costs more money to heat and taxes, and all these expenses go on, right? So now it's a more expensive lifestyle. Now, we all have the same basic needs, right? We need food, water, shelter, warmth. Maybe, you know, down south you need to be cool from the elements, right? And what we do after that, how we build after that, determines, I mean, whether we're going to have a lot of stuff or not, right? If we got the basics covered, they can be covered in a very simple, easy way too, right? But how we go beyond those basics, you know, is how we end up balling and chaining ourselves down. Now, minimalism is a very directed, focused lifestyle choice that people make, and it's an active, ongoing adventure, right? So how do we become pack rats then? How does that work? Well, you know, average situation is you leave home from your parents, right? You don't have anything. Most people don't, and they go and move into an apartment. So now you got to go ahead and get yourself, you know, table and chairs and a couch and furniture and dishes and all the basic things, you know, which is fine, right? But now you're starting to collect a bit of stuff, right? And eventually you say, well, I want to maybe buy a house, right? So then you go ahead and you go and buy a house, and it's always usually with borrowed money, right? And so now you just all of a sudden committed yourself to whatever length of time you got to pay that thing back, and you've balled and chained yourself right there with that. I mean, you can sell and get out of it, so that's the good thing about it generally. But so now you got this house, right? And well, you got more rooms, and you got to fill those rooms up with stuff, beds and dressers, and then you go and you get married, and now you're going to go ahead and go and buy nice furniture and you know, dress the place up, and that house, man, it needs some maintenance. You know, you need some more tools and ladders, and got to go ahead and get yourself a lawnmower. And well, up here, you know, guys get themselves snow blowers and got to blow the snow away, and on it goes. It's and then all of a sudden the kids come along, and man, it's exponential now, right? And it keeps on going and more forward, and you know, and that's the typical situation. It's easy to borrow the money, but it's hard to pay it back, right? And people get depressed. They got to go to a job they don't like and pay the bills, right? I mean, we all got to pay the bills, but how many bills you want to pay? If I was living in my van, this is, you know, this is a kind of a spot I would hang out at. You just go ahead and you park here and pull out your lawn chairs and, you know, veg out, just soak in the vibration of the whole scene here, listen to the birds, relax, think about your future. I mean, be awesome. So how does one become a minimalist, right? Really, I think it's the easiest when you're younger, when you're single. And you make that choice, you move out of your house, and your parents' house, I mean, and you have very few possessions. It's easy then. I've experienced that, and at one time everything that I owned I could fit inside of a pickup truck, and I was even I had carpentry tools. I was apprenticing as a carpenter, and I was gonna even sell my tools. You know, I had this kind of basic minimalistic mindset, you know, perking up, and but I decided not to, because I mean, hey, I got to make a living, and so I just kept on building up the tools and kind of went the other direction. But it's easiest when you're young, and then the thing is, you have to have a purpose driven mindset. You have to make that choice. This is what I'm going to do. I am going to live frugally and minimalistically and whatnot. And once you make that choice, you have to be active and vigilant to keep it up. So so it's a mindset. You have to develop a minimalistic mindset. So you have the minimalist mindset developed and working, that's good. And then the choice of where you're going to live, the space that you're going to put yourself in, is a big, huge factor. If you find yourself, let's say this is your home, you decided you're going to go ahead and have this RV as your home. Now you're forced, you know, to live in that space, and well, you can go ahead and put a trailer on the back and fill that all full of junk, right? But if you say, okay, no, I'm going to have this. This is my space. I'm going to have to force myself to live in this. Now that's very confining, and you know, it's a very self-imposed type of restrictive limiter for you, and that's a great way to do it. You end up with a bigger space. Well, then you can fit this and that, a chair and that, and add more stuff, and finally you end up with a boatload full of stuff, right? And the big thing is, you know, is to avoid purchases. If you decide you're going to go and buy something and add something to your life, like, don't buy it right away. I mean, especially impulse buying, that's the worst, right? Think about it for a few days. Walk away, and if you know, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you just have to jump on something and do it. So you want to be prepared mentally for that. But generally speaking, give yourself some time and think to, you know, how's that going to impact my life if I go ahead and add this? I mean, where am I going to put it? What does that mean? If I keep on adding stuff, then I have to get a bigger place, and then my costs go up. And, you know, then you end up down this big cycle. And that's exactly what happened with me. I mean, I like capability. I like to be able to do things. And so, you know, so I want a bike, right? I want to be able to bike, and so I need a bike, right? So I get a bike, and now I got a motorbike, right? I want to be able to do that. Then I got a quad. I wanted to go quadding, and so that's kind of what happened in my case. And I didn't have an absolute, you know, purpose-driven goal of becoming a minimalist, right? I just kind of went along, right? And life bumped along, and so you want to plan your future, not just fall into it. Now, I had planned my future, but minimalism wasn't part of the deal. Now that I've lived a long time and done a lot of things, and you know, as you get older, you realize, well, you know, you can do with a lot less, and really the simple things in life. I mean, look at this. I mean, just the water, the air, the nature. I mean, the fact that you're living and breathing and you can think. I mean, all of these things are wonderful and very inexpensive, right? So what do you do when you're trapped like I am with all of my stuff? How can you, you know, break out of it? Well, I guess first things first is you have to make that choice of what you want to do, and then act on it, and, you know, start going through your drawers and start going through your stuff and start reducing, and then repeat. My problem is, my quandary is, man, there's a lot of things I still want to do, and these extras in life, I mean, that's what allows me to do that. But definitely going to go through my stuff and start to downsize. And one thing, you know, I guess I'm going to call myself a compartmentalized minimalist. And what that means is, like, when we go backpacking, everything that you're going to live in for the next little while is on your back. And so everything is reduced down to the absolute minimum to be able to get the job done. So there's that. And also with my tools, I mean, I went and you know, made a choice to actually make everything portable and transportable. I had a table saw that was stationary. I sold that, and I went and bought a folding table saw that can roll on wheels, right? Things like that. All my tools go into little tool boxes that I can pack in the certain tools that I need at the time. And you know, I don't have a great big huge monster, you know, 6-foot-high toolbox that everything is stuck into in a permanent place. You know, so it's a mobile mindset a bit. But yeah, so minimalism, if that's something that's on your radar, I highly encourage it. It will give you tons of freedom, the ability to move around easily, less expensive. Man, there's a lot of wins for it. Don't go and burden yourself. You know, don't go and buy a house for $300,000 and borrow all that money. Man, that's easy to do, but man, you just go ahead and you sink yourself. Think of alternatives. Live an RV life. I mean, that's a fantastic alternative. It's definitely out of the mainstream of things, but that's a great way to start. If I was doing it all over again, if I was a teenager just getting out and moving out of my parents' house and whatnot, this is what I'd buy, something like this, and I'd go from there. Now, life presents itself with different things, and you know, you get married and maybe have some kids, well then, okay, but even then you can go ahead and keep it all very, very minimal. Make that choice and stick to it. Minimalism. There is hope for Rocket Ronnie.